This is a story of how we met and fell in love.
In 1969, something incredible happened that changed the shape of the rest of my life.
My first impression of Marianne was this crazy Dutch girl with her crazy Dutch friends and having so much fun.
And smoking a tiny little pipe. We wanted to be Danish. The first time I saw him was in a small town in Denmark, and I knew that I wanted to meet him again. In his white shirt, white pants, and white backpack. I was traveling with my 2 girlfriends on 3 motorbikes, little mopeds, into Denmark.
I was hitchhiking around Europe for 100 days. I'd never been in a big city overnight. I'd been in and out of Detroit and Chicago during the daytime, but I'd never been overnight in a big city. I'd never seen the ocean. In fact, the first time I'd seen the ocean was in southern France. So when I got accepted to medical school, I started saving some money because this trip to Europe for 100 days in 1969 was my graduation present to myself.
And we sat in the kitchen of the hospital and talked all night. And the next day, my friends and I left on our motorbikes, and I was sitting backwards, waving at him. My one friend said, "Oh, are you falling in love with him?" And I said, "I don't know if I'm in love with him, but I could spend the rest of my life with him."
After we'd spent the evening talking in the youth hostel in Tunder, we met again in Copenhagen.
The main youth hostel in Copenhagen was so crazy full that summer. We got there at 8 o'clock, 8:15, and we bought a ticket.
And as I was going into the youth hostel, these 3 Dutch girls were coming out.
And we walked back out, and who walks back? And I remember just going, "Oh my God, I can't believe that I'm meeting him again."
I said neither of us had planned on going to Copenhagen, but we ended up there.
And he took me out on my first date. Tivoli is a garden. It's an amusement park, but it's very elegant. Beautiful fountains and buildings from all over the world. I remember there was a Chinese pavilion. I didn't see a lot. There was this American who was in the way all the time, standing right to my view.
And then we had planned on meeting in Oslo and almost didn't make it.
We didn't have any firm plans, and basically my motorbike broke down. The 2 girls were going to go by themselves to Oslo, and I was going to go and hitchhike. It was my understanding that if I made it to Oslo, we would just meet there. I went to the youth hostel. I asked if Carl was there, and he said no. On the 5th day, my one girlfriend called the youth hostel and said, "Is Marianne Kuiper there?" And her motorbike had broken down. She came by train. The third person, the second Anneke, was at the bottom of the mountain and her motorbike broke. We decided to go to the Dutch consulate and ask if they would allow us to send a telegram and ask our parents each for 25 bucks. We're sitting in this tram, and it kept going and it kept going, and suddenly the high-rise apartments were gone. All of a sudden, we were just simply in the suburbs of Oslo. And my girlfriend yells, "There's Carl!" We just yelled, "Stop, stop, stop!" The tram just stopped. The guy didn't know what else to do but to stop in the middle of the street. I was walking down the street in the suburbs of Oslo, and I heard this screaming. And then there's 3 Dutch girls running up to me. And I loaned her girlfriend some money to go on the boat back to Holland. I hitchhiked with Marianne down through Sweden back to where she had left her motorbike. She was on her motorbike pedaling, and I was walking, running alongside across town to the ship. So we took the ship back to Amsterdam and spent a few days in Amsterdam. Friends of mine in Ann Arbor had said if I could possibly buy a diamond, it would be a good investment. So Marianne knew Amsterdam and took me where they cut diamonds.
where you can look at them, and they taught us how to evaluate the diamonds, and I picked out a diamond.
Then we ended up going to Paris.
I don't really like the Parisians. They live in a beautiful city, but it's a nice city to be in love anyway.
I put him on the plane in Brussels, and that's when he left, and I didn't hear from him. So I finally, after a whole week, I went to the store and I bought him a fountain pen.
My love for her developed and grew really through writing. When I was with her, it was always exciting, it was always fun. But I really learned to love her, really when I got to know her through writing back and forth. It was the distance that made our relationship so special. And she bought the diamond that I had picked out. They kept it for me. And she sent the diamond in the head of a little plastic doll.
And I put the diamond in some wadding, and I put it inside the head and just sent it and wrote on the ticket, "Old sandals and a doll." When I came to the United States that following summer, the summer of 1970, and on August 16, exactly a year after he went back to the United States, he asked me to marry him, and we went to pick out the ring together.
So this was the diamond that we had set, and she ended up getting this diamond back when we got married. A Dutch wedding is really different from American wedding. In the morning, a limousine came and picked me up, and we went over to her house. I had rented a tuxedo there that was gray with a top hat, but the shoes were a little bit too big and things didn't quite fit.
He really did look uncomfortable. He wasn't really sure what to do, and he told me he loved me and gave me his flowers. It was a big bouquet of lilies of the valley. Stuck in the middle of the bouquet, I had a little orchid. And so finally we got to the city hall with, indeed, Marianne and Case being our witnesses, and with Mabel being our bridesmaid. And the mayor of Amsterdam married us. And that was pretty unusual. And this Dutch girl and this American boy got married in this old English church, tiny little church. But I remember when we were standing there, I was so overwhelmed by the fact that you loved me that much, that you would come that far.
This was the story of how we met in 1969, fell in love, have spent 40 wonderful years together, and
Well, that really is how fairy tales come about and do happen, aren't they?
yes.